I don't know who broke the ice.
I don't remember either.
Dion and Jason spend a lot of time together on this couch, unwinding after work and enjoying each other's company. They've moved in together and are planning to get married.
We have 2 weddings, actually. We're getting married December 1st in Mexico, but before we do that, we're going to get married in the church on November 12th.
What you can't tell by just looking at the happy couple is they met online.
We just started talking online it was like a week, and then she set up a date. And then we met at a coffee shop for about 3 hours. Starbucks.
But before diving into the world of internet dating, both had reservations about turning to the web for companionship.
It took me about 6 months before I would even consider. I didn't want to go that route. I don't know, I had a bad impression about being that person online, but then as you talk about it with other people, you find out that pretty much everyone you know is online and going on dates, so I gave it a try.
And I wasn't really open to it initially either, and then I kind of thought, well, what's the harm in giving it a try for a month to kind of see what's out there, which I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
For Dion, the more traditional forms of meeting men just didn't appeal to her.
I was finding that, like, I didn't want to go out to the club and do all that stuff anymore, and I wanted to settle down and like meet somebody who wanted the same things, and I found it difficult in where I work in the social group and all that stuff to meet new people.
Despite the stigma surrounding internet dating, both have found their relationship has been well received.
More people are using it, more people are meeting people that way, and like my brother just got married last weekend and we discovered that like they met online. We didn't even know that.
No.
But everyone has their own opinion about online romance. This is Clicking.
I don't know, you get to meet people a lot easier, I think. Just, I don't know, more variety.
I think it's pretty lame.
I prefer meeting someone through face-to-face contact, and online dating just seems so anonymous, and I don't know, just not my style, I guess.
You don't have to go out to a bar necessarily to meet someone. You can basically just stay at home in your pajamas and see what's out there.
I don't think it's really safe, to be honest. Online dating's kind of sketchy, especially people can Photoshop their images.
My buddy has had some absolute nightmares out of it. I'm sure some folks have a lot of fun with it, but the experiences of my one friend have taught me to steer clear of the thing.
It opens up a lot more people to your network than like just regular meeting people. And I think that's what people like about it.
It's kind of made dating into more of a meat market, I think, because then, you know, you look at all these pictures of people on the internet and kind of decide who you want to date, who you don't want to date, and it's kind of really superficial, and you know, you don't really actually get a vibe for what this person is really like, you know, from an online profile, so much as you would in, you know, real life.
Anyone can go on there, be a guy, girl, say that they're the opposite or whatever.
I don't know, I think it seems like cheating if you find someone online, because someone's making the match for you and you don't actually have to go out and look, and you know, there's a little bit taken away from it. It's not as special.
The internet has the ability to connect people who have never met face-to-face, transforming the way we connect with potential partners.
I can go online and have a date tonight if I wanted to.
Online dating's interesting. I've met some really amazing people. I've also met some really amazingly creepy people. If anything, it also, I find, is a cheap source of entertainment.
Well, I'm getting older. It's been over 12 years since I left my marriage. I needed an avenue to make the possibility wider in finding possibly somebody that I can create a relationship with and not be alone.
So generally what usually happens with me is we end up messaging via online dating, back and forth. Then it usually gets to a text where you end up giving your phone number and messaging a bit. Whether it's messaging or phone calling, it's different on each person. And then generally I meet up with them in person if it kind of follows that timeline, if they get to each step or if I get to each step, whatever that looks like.
Dating is just putting yourself out there, and you either click or you don't. And it doesn't mean that there is even a possibility of a relationship, a long-term relationship. It's a matter, I'm realizing it's just filling the need of loneliness.
For example, also, if you go to the dog park, then people have an opening line like, what kind of dog do you have? I think that online dating gives people that opening line that people don't normally have when they're just walking down the street, and what are they going to say? Just say hi, and then they don't know what to do.
Because to me now, with our busy lifestyles, I don't want to wait for a phone call. If I'm available now, I want to be able to pick up and call and have them respond back to me and not wait because they're not ready to.
It's more just like an opportunity for me to get over somebody.
What I kind of got was just a generic meat market. Really, the interaction was really low. I find people didn't even bother to check out your profile synopsis, anything. And people's introductions were typically shallow for the most part.
I still think people online are kind of, like, majority of them are major creeps. So like a lot of dates that I went on, I'd go on Facebook to kind of check them out a bit more thoroughly, and then I'd like go into a public place to go for dates and stuff.
There's a lot of relationship issues in that people maybe have just broken up, they're jaded, so there's a lot of things going on, or they're far too clingy, compulsive, or just weird.
Basically, kind of the situation I was in. If a girl is like having a rough time getting over a guy, or vice versa, or just having a hard time meeting people.
They just didn't give themselves time to heal from their last relationship or something that went on previous. They needed time, and there's a process to all of that, I suppose.
Everybody goes online dating for different reasons, and that's been a surprise for me.
You're there for a reason, and when you go to the bar, or like everyone's looking to get laid, but I mean, it's not really like blatantly obvious, whereas like online dating, everyone knows they're there for like that companionship.
With personal information and emotions available at the click of a mouse, the ease of communication is influencing relationship dynamics.
Am I ready to be vulnerable? And yeah, all those emotions that come with it.
We live more of our lives online than we used to, so in some ways it makes sense that you would use that as another place where you can meet people, at least virtually.
How people communicate with each other, how they meet, has certainly been transformed, first with email, then with instant messaging, now with the development of social media, social networking like Facebook and Twittering and texting. And I think that the thing about those new types of media is that they are facilitating interaction. Before you had to be in a face-to-face situation before you had interaction, and now we're seeing that these electronic media of various kinds, cell phones and internet and whatever, are facilitating interpersonal communication in ways that we didn't see when you had to pay a lot of money to phone long distance to talk to somebody or go and knock on their door next door to speak to them.
What it really demands of us, both as recipients and as initiators of communication, is management. We're asked to actually make choices, decide, because we have options where we didn't before. So you actually have to think about this stuff and develop, an etiquette or, ethics, codes of conduct, whatever.
We are expecting that everybody is instantly available, that the separation between public and private spaces has totally disappeared, that if I send you a phone call, well, maybe you could ignore it, but if I'm sending you a text message, why aren't you answering me? And that there's been an increase in the use of this type of technology in abusive relationships, where people are controlling the lives of their partners by constantly texting, where are you, what are you doing?
It does demand certain new approaches to this, to thinking about how you manage relationships and so on. And even in existing relationships, you'll carry more of them online. Even if you live with someone, you're going to be, texting them or sending email or whatever, or, sending messages over Facebook.
Online communication also has the power of anonymity and the ability to deceive.
I think some of the things that people say to me typing is a lot different than they would actually say to somebody in person. So, for example, the first message I might get is, "Hey, do you want to get kinky?" I don't think a lot of people would walk up to me and say, "Hey, do you want to get kinky?"
In a face-to-face situation, I can look in your eyes and I can see whether you're telling me the truth. There's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of lies, there's a lot of people taking protection of anonymity, and one of the cons is that we're never quite sure what is the truth. And some people feel that these social media outlets are private when they are not.
I have realized that everybody has their own agenda. With the few men that I've dated, yeah, they already knew what they wanted from me. If I would have known that at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have even considered dating them.
You can meet crazy people at the grocery store. You can meet crazy people that come to your door. There's risk with everything, but I don't think online dating is any different than anywhere else.
Showing up at your work with coffee for the whole staff, although the staff loves it when you've only had a date or two. Kind of weird, especially when you didn't really explain where you worked.
There's identity theft, there's all kinds of stalkers. People are pretending, "Hi, I'm a 13-year-old girl, let's meet down at the playground," and it's a 41-year-old pedophile or something like that. That there is some argument that, one, there is deception and lying. Two, there's also an argument that we are actually creating a society of isolates, that people who can only communicate via the internet, via text messaging, rather than in a face-to-face situation.
Because what are you hiding? That's my question. If you can't show me what you look like, what else are you hiding?
People can lie to you. People can misrepresent themselves. You can be putting personal information out there that is going to be misused by someone else.
I know how to manage what I put out there, and I don't think it's a characteristic of the median. I think it's a characteristic of the people, in that they don't know how to properly manage what they put out there, or they don't know, and they tend to just throw their whole lives online, and that's not cool.
You make it your own experience. I haven't had a bad experience. I've been a little disappointed. But I'm still going to go on. I'm still going to continue doing it. I'm just, you just take breaks. And you know when you're ready to get back into it, when you go online, you start looking, and if I feel I'm getting frustrated right away because I'm seeing the same guys, same pictures on there, I'll just shut it down and, go back to it later.
I noticed I wasn't really compatible with a lot of the people I met.
I cannot stand a guy that is taking self-portraits of himself shirtless in the picture. I hate that. Yeah, if you are not wearing a shirt, I'm wearing my shirt, you should be wearing your shirt. That's my rule. And if you're not wearing your shirt, sorry, not interested.
Lacks a lot of depth and character and that whole human interaction that you completely, I think you need when you're meeting someone. So you can generalize a lot, but oftentimes you're wrong about people you meet online.
I think that's what I like about the online dating, in that you can shut it off if you don't want to respond to them.
There's no question that the way we date has evolved thanks to the internet. Technology is shaping the way we meet people, and there's no sign of it slowing down.
It's hard to say where it's going. I just think probably more colonization of that by commercial interests who are looking to play the matchmaker and collect a profit thereby. It's hard to predict what's going to come out in advance. But certainly, there do seem to be more and more interest in this kind of thing on the internet, for sure. And I think the social networking really did play into that quite nicely.
I think it's just going to become more and more socially acceptable. I think that it's eventually going to be bigger and bigger, and that's how people are going to start meeting people. And I think that it's all going to be computers, because more and more, whatever we do, the more and more we use computers.
There's an app for that. I mean, that's worrisome to me that people are stopping acting independently. They're allowing computers and computer applications to kind of, make their decisions for them. Everything from where to go and what to do and how to look and where the nearest bathroom is. I mean, all of those types of things are, I don't know where the limits are.
From the looks of it, it's probably going to take a bigger toll about it than how it is now.
I mean, people are people, right? I'm sure the people with stone tablets are the same as people with all kinds of internet things.
I think it'll still be webcams and stuff. Probably not too much change.
I think it's going to be much more invasive and probably a lot more prevalent.
Dating technology, maybe we'll have holograms.
I think in the future, online dating is probably going to be the main media to meet people.
But really, how new is online dating?
People who do meet online, some of those relationships are successful and some aren't. And I still think that they're governed by dominant ideas about relationships where we're supposed to find the one and only. And those ads you see on television that say we have more relationships and more marriages, and the same notion of these dominant ideas about what relationships are all about in the first place, and that we can still facilitate traditional notions of relationships via this type of technology.